You've been told the government failed, that the shutdown was a mistake, an accident, a political fumble no one saw coming. Let me tell you the truth, no one on the news will say out loud. The government didn't fail. The government chose chaos. And while the country was distracted, frustrated, and waiting for paychecks and answers, Washington did what it does best: operate in the shadows. Shutdowns aren't breakdowns. Shutdowns are opportunities. Shutdowns are cover. I want you to think about this. Every time the government shuts down, Congress suddenly becomes extremely busy, not fixing the shutdown, of course, but slipping bills through when the American people aren't looking. It's not incompetence, it's by design. And today I'm going to show you exactly how the shutdown was used, how it benefited the people in power, how it hurt working Americans, and how the same playbook has been weaponized for decades. Because if you don't understand how manufactured chaos works, you will never understand how Washington really operates. Chaos is not the opposite of control. Chaos is the tool of control. So let's break this down like adults. When a shutdown hits, the media screams, politicians point fingers, and the public panics. And the attention of the entire country locks onto one question: when will the government reopen? Meanwhile, here's what's actually happening inside Congress during a shutdown. Committees quietly pass amendments, funding reallocations get inserted into bills in the middle of the night, agencies bury budget increases inside emergency packages, lobbyists flood the Capitol because almost no one else is working, oversight slows down, transparency just disappears, and accountability shuts off. Shutdowns aren't a mistake. Shutdowns are political camouflage, and we're going to go layer by layer. So let's start with the big lie. The government can't function during a shutdown. Really? Then explain why Congress stays open, why IRS enforcement still continues, why federal law enforcement keeps operating, why every single member of Congress still gets paid. The shutdown never shuts down the parts of the government that benefit the politicians. It shuts down the parts that hurt you and me. National parks closed, passport processing halted, paychecks for service members delayed, VA claim updates frozen, small business loans paused, food assistance programs cut, medical research suspended. Everything that affects families gets shut off first. Everything that affects politicians stays untouched. So now let's talk about the money. During a shutdown, federal agencies scramble to justify emergency budgets. They request critical needs funds. They push for temporary provisions they claim are urgent priorities. And inside those emergency provisions, millions, sometimes billions of dollars get reallocated with almost zero oversight. So here's a real example. In 2013 shutdown, while the country was arguing over Obamacare and furloughs, Congress quietly passed 57 separate funding reallocations inside emergency legislation, none of which were listed in the news headlines. And here's the kicker. Most of those reallocations had nothing to do with the shutdown. Shutdowns create fog. Politicians move inside the fog. Let's bring this to the present moment. While America was worried about government offices closing, you know what bills were quietly being advanced? A foreign aid package, a surveillance expansion amendment, a multi-million-dollar pilot program buried inside of Homeland Security appropriations, an increase in congressional office budgets, and a bipartisan-backed bill raising campaign contribution limits, of course. None of those made the news cycle because chaos protects the politicians. The shutdown hurt working Americans. It didn't hurt Washington, not in the least. Government workers miss checks, but Congress doesn't. Families lose access to child care assistance, but lobbyists don't lose access to lawmakers. Border agents go unpaid, but foreign aid still moves out of the Treasury. Shutdowns don't freeze government. Shutdowns freeze accountability. So let's talk national security for a second. Every single shutdown reduces readiness. Military training cycles get halted. Federal cyber monitoring weakens. Coast Guard families struggle to buy groceries. And yet, during this shutdown, Congress still greenlit billions to overseas interests. So let me ask you one simple question then. If the shutdown was truly a crisis, Why was foreign spending prioritized over American workers? Because American workers are leverage. Foreign governments are the clients. You're not supposed to notice that pattern, but you will after today. Let's get factual because I don't want to deal in opinions. So according to the GAO report, 3 out of every 4 shutdowns resulted in hidden spending bills passed during chaos. Over 9,000 federal employees reported rushed expenditures made without oversight. Shutdowns cost the U.S. economy an estimated $3 billion in lost productivity each cycle. And yet, Congress has never once missed a paycheck during a shutdown. Lobbyist activity increases by over 150% during shutdown periods. Transparency of spending decreases by up to 60%. Think about that. Shut the government down and the government suddenly gets busier. That's not failure, that's strategy. So let's move deeper. There's a reason shutdowns happen right before weekends, right before holidays, right before major events, or right before a huge unpopular bill is being debated on the floor. Shutdowns are timing weapons. When the public is distracted, politicians make their moves. And if you want proof, here it is. During the last shutdown, while America was arguing on social media, Congress advanced quietly over 430 pages of legislative text in the span of 48 hours. Ask yourself this: when was the last time Congress moved that fast for you? When was the last time Congress fixed the border that fast? When was the last time Congress lowered the grocery prices that fast? When was the last time Congress passed a bill helping American families in 48 hours? It doesn't happen. They only move that fast when they're working for, guess who? Themselves. So let's talk about the media now. Why does the media love shutdowns? Most people understand this. Because chaos boosts ratings. Because panic keeps viewers watching. Because complexity keeps people confused. And because confusion keeps the truth buried. Shutdown coverage always looks the same. Doom, drama, disaster, finger pointing, deadlines, threats, urgency, but almost no coverage about what's moving behind the scenes. Journalists report on the smoke, never on what's burning. When the government wants silence, it creates noise. Shutdown noise, chaos noise, distraction noise. Because while you're staring at the fire, they're rewriting the blueprint for the house. So let's shift gears. Why does Washington never fix the system that causes shutdowns? Because the system benefits them. Shutdowns give politicians leverage, excuses, media coverage, negotiating power, cover for unpopular votes, and political martyrdom. Shutdowns give political consultants fundraising spikes, outrage engagement, campaign narratives, and a villain to blame. Shutdowns give lobbyists access, influence, opportunities to pressure lawmakers, and the ability to push bills without public scrutiny. Shutdowns give you nothing. Shutdowns take from you time, money, stability, confidence, security. Shutdowns are designed to make Americans desperate, so politicians can pretend to be the heroes when they fix the crisis they created. Tell me this isn't psychological manipulation at its finest. So now let's zoom out. Shutdowns are not just political strategy, they're cultural conditioning. When a government repeatedly creates chaos and then pretends to save you from that chaos, that is not democracy, that is dependency. Every shutdown trains the American people to tolerate dysfunction. Every shutdown trains the American people to accept broken systems. Every shutdown trains the American people to expect less from their leaders. When dysfunction becomes normal, corruption becomes invisible. This is why I say the government didn't fail. The government chose chaos. They chose it because chaos benefits them. They chose it because chaos hides their agenda. They chose it because chaos keeps you confused, exhausted, and overwhelmed. So let me ask you something difficult. Do you really think the most powerful government on earth accidentally shuts itself down every few years? Or do you think the shutdown is the main feature and not the bug? Do you think chaos is the method, not the outcome? Do you think dysfunction is the plan, not the problem? You already know the answer. So Now, let's get real and let's talk some solutions, because I'm not here to rant. I like to give clarity as best as I can. If America wants to stop this shutdown circus, we need mandatory transparency for any bill being passed during the shutdown. We need restrictions on midnight amendments, public audits of all emergency spending, automatic continuation of essential domestic payments, and Congress should never be getting paid during a shutdown. You want to watch Washington fix shutdowns overnight? Freeze their paychecks. Let's end with something personal. If you're watching this, you already know something is terribly wrong. You feel it, you see it, you're living it. The chaos isn't accidental. The confusion isn't accidental. The corruption isn't accidental. It's engineered, it's coordinated, it is strategic. And it will continue until Americans start demanding accountability, not theater, not speeches, not slogans, accountability. Policies shape nations, but chaos destroys them. And if we do nothing, this will not be the last shutdown. It will be one of many to come. But if you're done accepting these shutdowns and this chaos is normal, drop enough down in the comments. Share this video with someone asleep and help wake them up. And then subscribe, because I will never stop breaking down the truth that no one else is willing to touch. As always, stay sharp, stay aware. The Watchman out.